What's up, you guys? Part 3 of horror animations. Let's get into it.
The tense atmosphere hung over us, though I didn't quite put my finger on it. Afterwards, I felt the long drive catch up to me with the sudden urge to test out the plumbing in the cottage toilet. There was no cell service out where we were, so I got bored just sitting there. That's when I noticed that there was a curtained window in the bathroom. Simply out of curiosity, I reached up and pulled back the curtain. And right there was the snowman, staring right at me. I closed the curtain and jumped to my feet, frantically pulling up my pants. That sight sent a jolt through me that cut my business short, no doubt about it. I rushed out and waddled to the front door. I threw open the door and peered out into the frigid sunset snow. The snowman was still there, right where it was when we got there. It hadn't moved an inch.
John, close the door. It's cold.
I slammed the door and stormed back into the bathroom, yanking back the curtain. Nothing. I swear whoever's watching me is asking to get it. I stammered back into the main room in a heated state. And I finally remembered the whole purpose of the trip.
There's nobody watching us, John, honey. It's just you and me.
Later that night, we both laid out in bed, exhausted. Cindy had done her best to distract me from the snowman problem. But even after she'd been asleep for a couple of hours, I couldn't relax. That tense feeling was still churning. Outside, the winds were picking up, whistling through the trees and around the walls of the house. In all that noise,
Hold on, Evan.
Invaded any remaining semblance.
Get out!
A soft tapping on glass from a window somewhere in the building.
Have to do something.
Down my spine. Very quickly, it grew to the sound like a fist banging on the pane, about to burst through. I shot up out of bed so fast I almost woke Cindy. Following the sound to the living room, I could hear the ever-loudening banging coming from the window right by the door. I inched closer.
I would have been scared, you guys.
Back the curtain, and that's when the whole window exploded under the pressure and covered my face with a shower of glass shards. The howling wind rushed in from the broken window, blowing back the curtain. And standing right there on the porch, the snowman again, piercing me with his soulless button eyes. Didn't I tell you not to screw with me? Huh? Now look what I gotta do. I know you're not just a snowman, you peeping punk! The fury didn't subside with the snowman's destruction. I felt I was catching on to whatever was happening, and I was going to stop it. I stomped
Because you were in the red
looking
room.
for the footprints of a prankster, or a peeping Tom, or somebody. But the moonlight revealed only fresh, undisturbed powder. Frustrated, I hobbled back inside on nearly frozen feet to wash the blood and glass from my face and maybe start up the fireplace and thaw out my souls. But, of course, the first thing I saw in the bathroom was that rotten snow freak staring right through the window. Didn't I just destroy you? Are my fists not good enough? Fine. I got something else for you. I'd seen it earlier, but I didn't think I'd use it for anything but chopping firewood. The rustic axe mounted above the fireplace. I plucked it from its resting place and took it in both hands, ready to go back outside and finish the job. But once I opened the door, I heard myself thinking with reason. No footprints. No footprints. Somebody's playing a game with me. This snowman is just a pawn. Yes, just a pawn. There can only be one culprit. Yes, only one person it could be. Oh, Cindy. I figured out that little joke you've been pulling on me. I walked back into the bedroom and stood over the sleepy Cindy, who was just starting to stir. She looked up at me with confused eyes, like she didn't know.
Huh? John? What are you... Hey! What are you doing?
I swung the axe down into her pretty chest with a surge of relief, putting my weary mind at ease. But her screaming was messing up my moment of zen. So I yanked it out of her ribcage and plunged it back in with all its heft again and again until she finally shut up and stopped that horrible gurgling sound. Then I thought, might as well be as thorough with you as I was with the Snowman. So I made sure to purge every shred of aggression in my heart. I'm not stupid. I don't like games. You shouldn't put me on edge. After a while, there wasn't much left of silly little Cindy. That and the bed was starting to break. So I started that fire I was thinking about earlier and really got relaxing through the rest of my vacation. Looking back, even though she betrayed me, I do regret how I handled the situation. I was a little brash, but maybe next time I go on a cottage retreat, my new girlfriend will remember to pack my meds.
This explains all the demonic activity. It was all you're doing. This ends now!
I used to love going to Chuck E. Cheese. My parents would take me there every Thursday night when I was younger. I can't say that that love remains since I've gotten older. It's all because of that one night. It began so perfectly. It was my birthday, so I got a huge allowance for arcade coins. The arcade was always my favorite part of Chuck E. Cheese. No grown-ups, no creepy mascot, just games as far as I could see. And so many tickets. I was racking up enough of them to go for the plastic gun and handcuffs on the top shelf behind the prize counter. I'd wanted it for so long, and I was finally going to get it. But as I ran around a corner looking for the next game to dump my coins into, I ran into an adult. Oh, sorry, sir. Watch out there, little buddy. I didn't mean to. It's okay. I'm glad we bumped into each other. I want to introduce you to my son, Alex. I hadn't even noticed that there was a kid with him until then. He was so small and frail compared to how pudgy his father was. He didn't even look related. Go on. Say hello, Alex. I guess you're feeling a little shy today. That's okay. What's your name, son? I'm Jimmy. Well, that's great. I think you and Alex will become good friends. Why don't you play some games together? After that, the man just walked away, leaving his son with me without even giving me a moment to respond. I sure felt bad for the kid, but I didn't want him to take any of my tickets. We stood awkwardly for so long, it was unbearable. The kid's eyes were so empty, like he couldn't even see me. More than anything, I just wanted him to stop looking at me for one moment. Then, I noticed something hanging loosely from his wrist. A smartwatch. I wondered how a kid who looked so hungry could have something that expensive. It was the only thing I had for some conversation to break the silence. Hey, that's a nice watch. How'd you get it? Oh, this? Did you want it? If you beat me in a game of skee-ball, I'll give it to you. Really? You just let me have it? What a sucker. I thought. This kid had no idea how good I was at skee-ball. A smartwatch was a way better prize than a plastic gun, and I was bound to have both. Sure enough, I smoked him fair and square. It didn't feel right, though. The kid didn't seem like he was trying to put up a fight at all. He didn't even score a single ball. But he still gave me the smartwatch, so I didn't argue. He handed it to me without crying or anything, and as soon as I figured out how to put it on my wrist, he was gone. I didn't see him or his father the rest of the night at Chuck E. Cheese. I was confused.
She
and forgot about
probably
my
Yeah.
what
got my
she has
fries and
said.
ate my pizza. Then I went home. After I was supposed to be asleep,
Yeah.
I was sitting up in my bed checking out all the features that came with my new toy. I spent a few hours just playing the games that were built into it. Then, at about 2 in the morning, a notification popped up. It read, services have been turned on. Right after that, another message from an app I didn't recognize. Your location is now being tracked. Suddenly, a pit bull
Oh, I would have been scared. I would have been. Oh!
my heart was racing. I quickly made the decision to turn it off completely and threw it away from myself. Several eternal minutes of waiting in tense, breathless silence followed. I heard footsteps through the window. I jumped off my bed and hid behind it, staring into the night just outside. I got played on my birthday.
That's scary.
In my last year of high school, my parents pressured me into getting a job to save money before I went to college. I knew they couldn't offer me much once I left.
20 minutes left.
But with school still hanging around my neck, I wouldn't get a job that required real work. Instead, I applied for a part-time position as an elf in a local mall, backing up the visiting Santa Claus. I figured it couldn't be any harder than smiling and helping kids up and down from Santa's lap, and ushering away the occasional temper tantrum, of course. I got the job without any trouble, and initially, my hopes were high. The man who'd been hired to play Santa Claus really did look like the St. Nicholas himself. He didn't need one of those cheesy fake beards. His genuine facial hair was spot on. Plus, the fluffy suit of red and white looked like it had been tailor-made specifically for him. It was still early in the morning when I walked in on my first day. The mall wasn't even open yet, so I thought I should introduce myself before the day began. Good morning, sir. I'm the new helper elf. Oh, good. Fresh meat. Make a good impression and get me some coffee, dear boy. The way he spoke threw me off. He sounded like Santa, but he didn't say the things you'd expect Santa to say, or in the way Santa looked. I glanced around idly to the other elves, meeting their intense stares. One of them looked at me with wide eyes and said, "Get the frickin' coffee, dimwit." I heeded the urgency in his voice and rushed off to the food court. I didn't even know where the break room was, so I had to pay for a cup out of pocket from a restaurant, which was still opening up. When I got back, the elf that spoke to me before was knelt below Santa's chair, polishing his boots. It was a really strange sight, and it certainly wasn't their job description. Still, I didn't want to intervene, so I did my best to ignore it as I handed Santa his coffee. See this here, dear boy? This is what happens when you speak out of line. Elves need to respect Santa, and of course his beautiful reindeer. Got it? Yes, sir. You mean, yes, Santa. Right, I'm sorry, Santa. At that point, I could understand why he was calling us dear boys and girls. He had a strange obsession with reindeer, so I assumed the pun was being said intentionally. I began having serious doubts about the job.
Wipe yourself, come on.
Huh?
Wipe yourself, come on, bro. You use your bathroom and
Lining
stuff.
up to
But
meet
just
us.
stay, come on, bro.
Things got easy.
You ain't hear shit and
That's
you
when
watching
Santa finally
TV. Come on,
got
bro. You
his
shit,
shit.
get out.
And for the duration of the business
Yeah,
hours, he was the jolly man he was
Hurry up.
supposed
I
to
ain't
be.
doing that whole
Thankfully,
30 minutes,
we
hour
should
shit in the
say
bathroom.
that
Come on, bro.
I'm going to.
Alright.
For the first couple weeks, every day was more or less the same. Every
Oh, you
evening, I'd
go to
get
your
home
bathroom? Come on, bro.
wondering how such a jerk could be Santa Claus. And every morning, I'd return to be slave to his beck and call. Over
Yo,
time,
come on, bro. If I
I
gotta
felt a
take
certain
you out the
urge of
bathroom,
defiance building
I-
up inside me every time I heard him order us around. Always, dear boy, do this. Dear girl, do that. Like we were servants, as if we were dear to his heart in any way. One night, I went
How's
to
that
the
poop?
Nah, yo.
and that
Close
Santa
my door.
Clauser was right on top of me.
Yo.
You're always weaseling out of cleaning. Back to the stage. Because somebody did a lousy job last
Sorry, you guys.
By the time I got back with the vacuum, we had another order.
My cousin was using the
You boy,
bathroom,
Go get me some fresh meat from the food court.
Okay, sir, just as soon as I finish
and
cleaning.
we got kicked out the room when my cousin was using the bathroom.
They're not even open yet, old man.
So,
Give me a minute.
I clammed up, but I'd already let slip enough to piss him off. The other elves stared on me.
Dear boy, I'm gonna rip your stupid elf ears off and make them my earmuffs. Leave me alone.
He lunged at me with sudden speed, eventually caved in and exited the mall. After that, the only thing left was explaining to the public why Santa had disappeared. We didn't mind. A whole mall full of kids bawling from disappointment was easy compared to dealing with that jerk. We improvised with a picture setup and carried out work for the rest of the day.
Yes, sir.
Unfortunately, things took a sour turn when I got off. I was walking through the parking lot to get to my bus stop when I saw a Christmas stocking cap fluttering behind a dumpster. I could tell there was someone behind it. I crept up and looked over the edge and saw the mall Santa eating the mangled corpse of a deer. He looked up at me with blood streaming from his mouth and said,
Dear boy, would you like some venison?
"What the hell are you doing?"
What? Can't you see why I call you stupid elves my dear boys and girls now?
I ran away as fast as I could, traveling the extra few blocks down the road to wait anxiously for the next bus. When I finally got home, I stumbled in, shaking, and fell into my bed. For the next few days, I didn't leave the house. I quit that job at the mall and started applying elsewhere. I didn't sleep well. The image of raw venison between Santa's teeth flashed before me in the dark. By the time Christmas rolled around, I'd slipped back into my old lazy habits like a coping mechanism.
Hey, son, we're going to the store to get some dinner. You want anything? Pizza? Fried chicken?
Sure, Dad. How about venison?
Oh my goodness, it's the new generation game. Capital One shopping is amazing.
They color the words.
I had only been working at Dunkin' Donuts for a month when I got promoted to night manager. To be honest, when my boss called me into his office, I thought I was about to get wrung out for my 30-day evaluation. Instead, he praised me for being such a hard worker, then offered me a better position. I wasn't quite sure whose work ethic he was talking about, because it certainly wasn't mine, but I didn't bite the hand that fed me. The new position came with a hefty pay raise, and my boss told me that I'd get to make the nighttime schedule with my preference of employees. It seemed like a pretty sweet deal, so I took it. I convinced the most chill coworker I knew to do the graveyard shifts with me. He was easily convinced by the wage increase I offered him. And as expected, the flow of customers from 10 at night to 6 in the morning was really low, so it was quite an easy way to make money. We didn't mind the eerie atmosphere of the dead hours. Most nights we'd stay awake with endless free coffee and keep everything mostly clean, just to remain occupied as the store was empty most of the time. Around 2 a.m. was when we'd get the only rush of customers. A handful of friendly drunk people would stagger in from the bars after they would close for the night. My coworker and I didn't really mind these people, though. We actually got to know most of them. It only took a couple of weeks to get used to the graveyard shift. I became good friends with my coworker, and most of the time we spent slacking off was used to talk about what we'd do with the money we were earning from the new grind. But one night, just a few minutes after starting my shift, I got an oddly frantic call from my boss while I was at the register. Hey Ryan, how are you doing tonight? Right, good, okay. Yeah. So I'm leaving the country.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going on vacation.
What did you just say,
Well, really, I'm the franchise. I've gotten a great return on a few investments I've made, so I'm retiring. Yeah, retiring. And because you've been such a hard worker and you took such great charge of the night shift, I've
Yeah,
a strong
what's up?
recommendation.
It kicks me out. But Jesus Christ.
My position. Wait, really? That's great, thank you. I could hardly get a word in, but I was too elated with the good news to care. Yeah, you basically got the position. Just keep up the good work, okay? Oh, and by the way, there's a contractor coming in tonight to upgrade the coffee machine. Just let him through quickly, alright? He's got a lot of coffee machines to work on tonight. From what Dylan suggested anyway. Sure thing, boss. Hey, you're the boss now, Ryan. Listen, you probably won't hear from me again. The regional manager is going to train you. Goodbye. There was a dumbfounded grin stuck to my face. My coworker was just arriving to his shift, a good 15 minutes late as usual. Hey Dylan, guess what? He seemed surprised by the energy in my voice. I'm getting fired? No, man. We're both getting promoted again.
No!
New store manager. Well, I'll be. Does this mean I get paid more? If you work more. Dylan then went to the break room to clock in. He obviously wasn't as excited as I was. Just as I turned my attention back to the register, my eye was caught by movement on the other side of the glass at the front of the store. A rusty windowless van pulled up and triple parked right in front of the door. From the condition of the van, I expected the man inside to be in similar shape, unshaven and unkempt, with a beard gut and a trucker hat. But I was wrong. The driver busted out of the van and entered the store in a rush. He threw open the door and marched up to the counter, then stopped and stared me down. He was not haggard at all. Actually, he was quite physically fit and surprisingly sharply dressed. Still,
And it certainly wasn't in her job description. Still, I didn't want to.
I don't know what just
So I
happened
did
to you
my
guys.
best to
Hold on.
ignore it as I handed Santa his coffee.
See this here, dear boy? This is what happens when you speak up.
suddenly felt bad for having just stood there and wasted his time. Before I found my words, Dylan came back from the break room. He eyed up the contractor. The coffee machine works fine. He's here to upgrade it. It's fine. Come on back, sir. I waved the contractor through. He found his way to the coffee machine without looking at a single thing. He set down his tools and started dismantling the machine with expert efficiency, like he knew every component by heart. Dylan and I traded a confused look, but we just shrugged it off. The contractor didn't seem to care about our presence whatsoever, so we decided not to care about his. We struck up some quiet small talk at the counter and waited for the contractor to finish. He was done far sooner than I expected. We didn't even notice when he walked up and almost shouted in our ears.
Okay, what's up, you guys?
Okay.
Oh, Dunkin' Donuts. Dunkin' Donuts.
Then walked away without a word. Got into his van and drove off. When he was finally out of sight, Dylan and I breathed a sigh of relief. Jeez, what was up with that guy? I don't know, bro. He didn't seem normal at all, did he? Whatever, man. At least he's gone. He didn't steal anything, did he? Nah, he didn't touch the registers or anything. Didn't go near the safe either. Let's just get back to work then. Dylan got a rag and a spray bottle and started cleaning the counter. Nice work ethic, Dylan. I might just start paying you more after all. The next few hours of the shift were dreadfully uneventful. We barely got any customers whatsoever. We started using the upgraded coffee machine at around 1 in the morning. Sure enough, it tasted a little fresher, but also a little more bitter. We guzzled it down anyway. Just after 2 a.m., the usual crowd of wandering drunkards stumbled in, making their rowdy banter as always. They started to line up at the counter when I got an idea. Hey everyone, I've got good news. Instead of getting your usual friends and family discounts, everyone gets a free round of hot and fresh, new and improved coffee in the house. Dude, what are you doing? That's not our policy, bro. Relax, Dylan, it's alright. I basically own this place now. And so, everyone in the restaurant was gifted free coffee from yours truly. It seemed to put everyone in good spirits. After everyone got the rest of their orders, a few croissant sandwiches and a box of donut holes, I left the register and went to talk with Dylan, who was cleaning the griddle after the food rush. Things are looking pretty positive, aren't they? Maybe for you. You're the one getting promoted and everything. I mean, I was working here way before you, but whatever. Oh, hey man, don't get so down. You get a premium raise out of this. You've been working hard, you deserve it. Dylan didn't say anything in response. He just kept cleaning the grill. But he wasn't really cleaning it. He was just slowly brushing the same spot over and over again. He wouldn't look at me. Suddenly, I felt sick, almost like I was drunk. My vision started to blur and my knees were shaking. I panicked and stumbled out into the front of the restaurant to try and get help from the customers, but when I got there, I realized I was on my own. Each and every one of them was unconscious and laid out across the floor, slumped over the tables or hanging out of the chairs. Just a moment ago, they'd all been lively and rowdy, but now they looked dead. My vision kept getting darker, and when I tried to take a step towards the door, I realized I couldn't move my legs. I collapsed like a sack of bricks. I couldn't move a muscle.
Oh, stop shaking the...
I began to regurgitate all the coffee I'd consumed earlier and forcibly vomit all over the ground. I remember seeing Dylan sprint out of the front door as if he was going to call for help. I remained laying on a puddle of my own vomit for the next 30 minutes or so, till the paramedics finally arrived. After reflecting back at the story, it was later confirmed that Dylan had hired a hitman disguised as a contractor in an attempt to assassinate me with a compromised coffee machine. What makes the story more disturbing is how Dylan is still on the run, and how his motive still remains unknown to this day. I personally think he got upset at how I got the role of being a store manager over him. But what I don't get is how he could be so cold-hearted enough to let all those customers drink from that coffee machine.
We had a deal! We had paperwork!
About several years ago, I used to work at an engineering firm where I would get carpal tunnel from typing on the keyboard all day. It was currently a Friday, so I figured I'd treat myself to a beer after my shift was done. Figured I could get hammered for a change, instead of heading home to an empty house with no female companionship. During my lunch break, I remember Googling any nearby pub and bar to go to. I came across a Hooters that was located about 15 minutes away by vehicle. I had previously been to many Hooters in the past and always found it quite charming to say the least. If I had to describe it, I would say it was like your ordinary sports bar, accompanied by some of the finest girls who wore their distinctive Hooters attire, of course with the orange shorts. Like I said before, I had been to many Hooters venues in the past, so going to this new location was really refreshing. As I made my arrival, it was roughly evening time, which meant that the place was probably hoarded with customers. I pushed open the front doors and saw exactly what I had anticipated. A bunch of attractive Hooters waitresses and a bunch of men flirting with them who were old enough to be the girls' fathers. I made my way across the bar while slowly glancing at the array of bottles behind this attractive bartender. I casually leaned against the bar as she approaches me saying,
"What you drinking today, big guy?"
"Rum and Coke, please." The waitress then begins whipping up the concoction while staring across the bar at something. At first, I couldn't tell exactly what she was looking at, but then I saw a rather large gentleman sitting at a table alone, making direct eye contact with her. If I had to describe the man, I would say he was in his late 40s and had a beer gut hanging onto his lap. I assumed he was just some creep who had a crush on the bartender. As the Hooters lady began serving my drink, I nosily asked her, "Hey, is everything okay?"
Not really. That weirdo across the room keeps looking at me.
He's probably just a big fan of your drinks.
Yeah. Not to mention, there's been a rumor circulating around town. Hooters girls have gone missing.
What? Are you freaking kidding me?
Hey, make me a beer, lady!
Get someone else to do it. I'm about to clock out, pal.
Make me a beer, or else I'm telling your boss your shorts are tight enough to see your— Leave her alone now!
About 5 minutes after that bizarre encounter, I felt obligated to escort the lady outside the parking lot, and even went as far as to offer her a lift. The lady took me up on my offer as she wanted to avoid further confrontation with any creeps lurking in the night. As I drove down the street, I began striking up a decent conversation with the lady. Everything was pretty swell till she asked,
So, where are you heading after?
"What do you mean?
Like, after you drop me off, are you heading home?
Who says you're heading home?
What?
You know, you should really be more careful before getting into a stranger's car." After all, Hooters waitresses have been disappearing, haven't they?
No, stop! Stop! Somebody help me! Your parking spot.
Whoa, you guys, that was a crazy ending. Wow, that was kind of spooky. Kind of got me spooky. I'm kidding, you guys. I'm the boy. I'm the boy. I'm the boy. I'll never get spooked out. But GG, it's been good with you guys. Peace. And I'm gonna be coming out with a new intro, my first ever intro. Peace. Deuces.